Okay, here we are doing a Q&A. It's been a very long time since I've done this. I figured quarantine and answers. Catchy Q&A, you know what I mean? Okay, anyway. Yeah, let's get into the video. Yo, what's up everybody? I am Legend. Let me wipe my mouth off. Nasty white stuff on my lips. And welcome to another video. In this episode of Track Out Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a questions and answers. Basically, ask me anything. I've been getting a lot of frequently asked questions, and I just want to answer all of them in one single video. Hopefully have something answered that has been answered already. 81 questions. If I do talk about a topic or I name a video in response to your question, that's not me trying to be lazy or overshoot your question. It's probably either because somebody else asked or it's something I've already covered in a video. But if I name the video, that's not me trying to be lazy and skip over your question. So the first question, which got the most likes actually, is from video game I'm assuming it's supposed to be Let's Plays. The best way to get back into your groove after taking a while off from making music. I have actually a couple of videos about this, one that's particularly called Why You Should Quit Making Music. Oddly enough, sometimes when you're not feeling in the groove of music or you've taken a break, that's exactly what you need to get started back into something, but you're trying to figure out how to actually move forward in that. But the only thing that I can say is to just start making music again. There's no really easy way to do it. There's no clear-cut thing that you need to do. It's whatever you feel inspired to do, whether it's make a beat, try to make a song, try to write lyrics, try to come up with melodies, whatever it is that you feel in that moment when you're trying to get back into it, that's exactly what you need to do. Follow the inspiration. My times where I'm demotivated or uninspired and I do take a break, when I come back into it, I always follow the inspiration. I don't try to force anything. That's very important. Go in there, make stuff, whatever it's gonna be. It's gonna sound like garbage. It's gonna sound like trash, I guarantee you, but that's part of the process of getting back into it. You're dusty, you're rusty, you're gonna need to brush off yourself. Soon the heat will come, I promise you. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Syed Ahmed. How do I EQ, bro, to get a good clean sound with reverb effect? I have a video on how to EQ. I will link that below in the description. It's all about the different frequencies within whatever program you're using. Like for instance, in GarageBand, you could turn up the highs or the lows or the mids to accentuate certain parts that you're lacking in your vocal and then subtract certain parts in your vocal that you are too strong with. So if you have a very bassy voice, you want to take out some of the bass. If you have a very trebly voice, you want to take out some of the treble. That makes sense. The video's linked below. It explains everything. Okay, next question by Tyrone Bigums. When singing and practicing with a piano, should I only sing the white notes or both the white notes and the black notes? Both? I mean, that's why they're on the piano. You're supposed to sing all of them. You sing whatever notes are in the scale to whatever song you're singing. So every song has its own scale. If a song is in C sharp major, you go to every single note that's in a C sharp major. All those notes you are allowed to sing in that song. So you're not limited to just singing white or just singing black. You sing whatever is in the key of the song. And that comes with music theory. That's something you have to learn on your own. I'm not going to teach that because it takes way too long to teach right now. But short answer, both. What is the best program to enhance your vocals without them sounding too artificial? GarageBand. How can you learn piano without a piano? And what if you don't have headphones? Because I lost mine. There's not really a way to learn piano without a piano. You have to play the piano in order to be able to play it. It's kind of like saying, how do I learn how to play a video game without playing a video game? It doesn't work. You have to have a piano to play it. And it doesn't have to be like a literal piano, but you can have a program on your computer and just play one of these, you know, as long as you have something with keys. Yeah. How did you become such a good singer? And did you get any singing lessons or something like that? Hyped for lights. I just sang a lot, probably about 25 years. So yeah, you just sing a lot. Sing every day. Wasn't always as good as I am now. Practice as much as humanly possible. It's literally the only thing that the only answer to this. Have your favorite songs that you hear by different artists. You sing those songs over and over again. You try to mimic exactly what they do so you can get the runs, the notes, the chords, all that stuff. Look into proper breathing techniques and things like that for like professional, when you're getting into more professional work. I just have a very musical family. I was born into it and I sang all of my life in church and everything. And so I just naturally was around these things and I just soaked it in. You got to soak it in. So no singing lessons. I did take choral ensemble, which was a choir class, the highest one, at a performing arts school, which I was the president of in my senior year, which was really dope. That kind of class it teaches you, but it's like you have to already know enough to be in that class to even get in that class. So I did have some kind of classical training. We competed all around the United States, won gold everywhere. Next question by Mandy Henderson. When did you start YouTube and what motivated you to start it? Love the channel, bro. I started YouTube back back in 2006. That's when I had my very first channel. I've gone through 3 channels. I think this is my 3rd channel. So I had one called Musics, I had one called Official Enzo, which I renamed, and then I had one called this one, which started as Legendary Beats. This channel started out as an experiment because YouTube came out with the YouTube Creator Academy, and I wanted to see if what they taught in the Creator Academy, how to grow your channel, actually worked. So I just started posting beats here, and it actually worked. And I grew like 1,000 subscribers in the first year. I just reached 75,000 today, 7 years later. So yeah, the reason why I started it, what motivated me to start this channel was just a test. But originally, what motivated me to start a YouTube channel was because I'm an artist, first and foremost. Most people only know me as a producer, but that's not all I do. I'm an artist, I sing. I wanted to have my own brand, my own way to present my music, to my music videos, to grow my fan base. I knew YouTube was going to be that thing, and it is. So I was kind of ahead of the curve, but I just didn't have the right growth tactics to get to where other people have gotten. So this YouTube, it was a way for me to spread my music to the world and to have my platform as an artist, for people to get to know me as an artist, not just to teach people. And that's why this channel is going to start transitioning to me being more of a personality than just being a teacher. I don't really see myself as a teacher. I'm just someone who tells people the stuff that I know. So that's why I'm trying to get a little bit more into vlogging, a little bit more into posting my songs instead of just posting tutorials all the time, because the original goal this entire time, ever since 2006, was always to grow my fan base, be a personality, not a teacher. Next question by Trey Lay. Hey Legend, just wanted to know about the stuff you use to better your vocals. I have probably like 20 videos on this. I will link them below. There's all the plugins that I use, all the equipment that I have, and the EQ, the mixing and mastering. I have many videos on this. They're like my top videos, so I'll link them all below. What microphone do you recommend for home studio recordings? I have a video on all the equipment that I use. Also linked in every description of every video is all the equipment that I use. Right now I'm using this Jay-Z Microphones BH2 that they sent me. So that's the mic that I currently have set up on here, but usually my go-to mic is the Blue Microphones Bluebird. I love this microphone. I've had it for about 5 years now. So I always recommend Blue to any artist who's looking for a setup. It's actually really cheap. This one is $2.99. I think it's very well worth the price. It's one of those in between professional and consumer microphones, prosumer. If you're looking for something cheaper, I would recommend the Blue Microphones Blue Ember. It's only $100. It's a condenser microphone. Do not get a USB microphone by any means. You're going to regret it. Next question by Chai X. What's up, Legend? Love the stacking vids, by the way. Question, do I have to use Melodyne or Wavestune to get that clean, pristine sound? Melodyne and Wavestune are only for auto-tune. To get a clean sound, that has nothing to do with getting a clean sound. That's just if you want to auto-tune your vocals. If you're talking about clean in terms of no noise, and it sounds crisp and clear and open and bright and all the things that you want to do as far as like sound quality, you don't need either of those, because those are only specifically for auto-tuning vocals. If you're singing and you want your notes to sound more clean and on point, then yeah, you would get something like that. But if you don't use auto-tune, then you don't need those things. It's auto-tune plugins. Sam Hoffman, how do you tune 808s properly, and what's the secret to a good drum line? Secret to a good drum line? I don't know what you mean by drum line. Do you mean drum programming? If you mean programming, like sequencing, then the secret to that is just keeping things very intricate, paying attention to the details. Timbaland is one person that always inspired me to pay attention to the details in my sequencing and my drum programming. When Timbaland produces, he uses all different kinds of sounds and clicks, baby crying noises, you know, snaps and sounds with his mouth, all these different things he incorporates. Even if it's turned down to the tiniest like amount of volume, you still hear it, because if it wasn't there, the song would sound completely different. So pay attention to the intricate details in your programming. That's one thing. Fill in the blanks. Always have like a bass sequence that you're going for, like a feel, like if it's a the bass. This is the basic drum program right there. Kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. But then you saw what I was doing with my lips, because it comes naturally. You add in like different sounds. So that could be a shaker, it could be my voice, it could be clicks like just fill in the blanks, make things interesting, keep it very intricate, pay attention to those tiny details. How to tune 808s properly? I'm not the one to ask about 808s. I don't really use 808s in the way that everybody else uses them, to be totally honest. How old were you when you decided you wanted to make music? I was about 5 years old. Jazz music. I love your videos. It is good teachings. Okay, how to make California style rap beats. This is not really a question I can answer in a video like this. I would need to do a separate video on that. So maybe that'll come soon, but I can't really. One thing I say is California rap beats, you gotta have a lot of swang to it. By swang, I mean like it has to just listen to Dr. Dre, listen to Snoop, listen to all those classic people, and you know what I'm talking about when I say swang. It's like it's a little bit of a drag behind the beat. Things are lagging, but again, that's something that I can't really teach in a question and answers video. How do you go about targeting? This is a good question. How do you go about targeting people for paid ads who live out of the country that like the music that you make? Ask people or decide for yourself what artists you sound most like, right? So me, I think I compare, a lot of people tell me I compare it to like a mix between Michael Jackson, Bruno Mars, Chris Brown, production style of Kanye West, kind of. But I would say like no more than like 5 artists. You take those artists, you put them into the interest of whatever ad thing you're using, whether it's Google or Facebook ads, and then you target your whatever your age demographic is, your target audience, and then you just let it fly. And you target like based on country. I would start with wherever, like those artists that I just named, they're going to be the biggest in the United States. So I would target the United States. If you're looking for internationally, you'd want to like check their demographics everywhere else. But there's a lot that goes into this stuff, so it's not, I can't really break it down. But then also you want to dive into like different sub interests within a certain artist. So like somebody that likes The Weeknd might really love Quentin Tarantino movies because he has that kind of style of music video. People like Chris Brown might be into Drake because they work together a lot, you know, things like that. So you have to really think about these different things. Windy, I'm just gonna call you Windy. I'm recording at home and I'm getting a lot of reverb and boxy sound that is difficult to mix. What is your advice on how to get the experience better? I'm assuming the reverb is coming from wherever you're recording. You're recording in a room that has no carpets or no soundproofing. Pick another place to record or soundproof the room that you're in. Otherwise, the sound's gonna keep bouncing off the walls. There's no way to take that out of your recording. It's gonna stay there. So I record in a room that has a carpet. My closet's right here, so my clothes are blocking the sound from bouncing off the walls. I have a curtain on my window, my sound bounces off of there. So you wanna soundproof your room first to get rid of the echo. The boxy sound, it could be coming from your mic, it could be coming from your EQ. There's our specific plugins that get rid of that sound, so you can look up one called Manny Marroquin Triple D's, and it has a deboxy, deharsher, and de-esser all built into that plugin. I'm gonna have a video about that as well. How to get over the sad feeling when you're not able to make good music or are losing interest in making music. I can relate. I dealt with this probably once all this virus stuff started. I really didn't feel like making any music. How to get over that feeling? I mean, I've dealt with this so many times in my life. The thing is, you just have to write it out. You can't force it. You can't force the feeling to leave. You have to do something else. People have different ways of dealing with this, but with me, I have to do something else. I can't try and force myself to make music again, because then I'm just gonna get even more uninspired when the music that I'm trying to make doesn't come out the way that I want it to sound. So when I'm uninspired, when I'm losing my interest in making music, I go to the movies, I go to a theme park, I go traveling. That's a big one for me. Traveling is a big one for me. I get inspired by life. I have experiences. I fall in love. It just doesn't matter. I experience my life, and then life inspires me to create once again. The interest is always there. It's just sometimes don't have the motivation to do it because life and things around you are just not going the way that you want them to go, or it's just like there's nothing kicking you in your pants like, oh my gosh, something so amazing just happened to me. I have to write about it. I have to translate this to a song. So go live life. That's the biggest way that I can say. Putting raw emotion into lyric performance and how to write lyrics so people listen and want to continue listening. I have a video on how to write lyrics, interesting lyrics. I'll link that below. As far as putting raw emotion into lyric performance, it's very hard to teach, but it's just use your emotion. The only way to show raw emotion in your lyric performance is to believe whatever you're singing about, whatever you're rapping about. If you don't write about your personal experiences, it's going to be harder to do that because you don't actually have a personal connection to that thing. Which means if you're writing about fantasy or something that's not real, that didn't actually happen to you, you have to act. You have to be an actor. Most people, they don't get this, but you have to be very much an actor as an artist if you're writing fictional stuff. What advice do you have for the newbie producers, specifically branding and growing on social media? Just downloaded FL Trial and had some fun making loops. Poet, one of many. I'm wheezing, man. For newbie producers, as far as branding and social media goes, you need to be on everything. These days, you have no idea where you're gonna pop off, where you're gonna blow up. You have no idea which social media is gonna go down or go out of business or end. Look at MySpace, look at Vine, look at Vero. Where is that app at? Facebook's kind of going down. You have to have a presence on everything. And you don't have to use all of them 24/7. That would be great, but let's be realistic here. You're probably going to focus on one or two. For me, that's Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. Twitter's more like just me having diarrhea of my brain, but I use YouTube the most. I would highly recommend to every single new producer, artist, whatever, you must have a YouTube channel. You have to. It is not optional right now. You have to. Instagram as well, but I don't really like Instagram because you can't really grow on Instagram unless you pay money, and I don't really like that. TikTok is a big one, obviously, these days, which call me a boomer or whatever. I just don't get TikTok. I don't get it. I don't get why people blow up so fast on it, but it happens, and that's why I got a TikTok. But TikTok, you have to post like 5 times a day, 3 times a day. It's ridiculous. That's why I don't like TikTok. So YouTube, that's my bread and butter. That's what I would recommend if you want to choose just one. Go with YouTube. Whether it's your music, whether it's you teaching something, you have to give people value. You have to give them a reason to tune into you. If you don't give them value, they're gonna leave. They're gonna be like, okay, I don't care. You can't post about your music with 0 fans and expect people to find you and be like, oh, this is dope, I'm gonna be a fan. You have to give them a reason to care. You gotta plan your content. I can't really dive so much. It's so much to talk about. That's like a personal coaching call. What is your order when mixing and mastering? Volume, balance, gain, staging, comp. Like, once again, all the plugins that I use are listed below because there's many videos that I've done on those. When I'm recording, I actually mix as I go. I will adjust the volume so that everything is, I don't really like set certain levels and decibels like some people do. I just record and then I bring everything down to where it's not going in the red. So I do my levels, my volumes of every single individual track, make sure the whole project is not peaking in itself. After I've done the mixing, I would go in there and mess with the highs and the lows and the mids to my liking. After that, I would apply all the effects that I want to apply to each and every single track. Basically levels, the frequencies like the EQ as far as highs, mids, lows, plugins, and then I master it. How to record good vocals in iPhone without any noise in the background? That's near impossible. I will tell you that now. Number one, you have to be in a really quiet room. You have to be in a room that has a whole lot of soundproofing, carpeting. And number 3, you have to have a microphone that's not this microphone or your Apple headphones, because those are going to be not the ones that do it for you. It's going to have some kind of a weird noise. So you want to get like an actual lightning connector microphone. The Shure MV88 is one of them, I think, as well. The Rode Video Mic Me L, I think is what it's called, is another one. Yeah, so those are your best bets. There's also like some other ones. iRig, I think, makes one, but you want to have an actual condenser mic to plug into your phone, and you also want to limit any of the reverb background noise by being in a very closed off space. Can you make a tutorial for a song making it from scratch with stock plugins on Logic Pro X? Yes, eventually. What are the best ways to mix and master auto vocals? I don't know what that means. If only been using the layouts that you provided. I'm not sure what you're asking. But using the layouts that I provided, the best way to mix and master is by watching the video that I show below. Basically, it's adjusting the levels as I talked about, adjusting the EQ, then mastering. That's as simple as I can keep it. But the videos explain in depth. What's the best laptop to make music on? MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, or others like Dell? And what app is the best? I already have a video about this. My personal choice is going to be Mac because I think it has way better functionality with, if you have iPhones, iPads, things like that, you can AirDrop. The best computer for you is going to be different. It might not be the same as me. Some people use iPads, some people use PCs, some people think one sucks and one doesn't. Something with at least 4 cores and a processor, at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, at least 256 gigabytes of hard drive storage. It's something that's no older than 2015. As far as app goes, I love using Machine. That's my favorite music making like production app. Recording vocals, I use GarageBand. Thoughts on promoting yourself outside the country? I believe I already answered your question. Besides typical social media, what platforms, websites would you recommend? None. YouTube, all social media. That's the way to get, that's literally the only way to get the furthest out. If you're talking about getting outside of the country, social media is the biggest way to do that. I don't know why you would want to not use those tools. I don't know of any platforms or any websites that really harvests sharing your art like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. There's nothing else out there that really does that you don't have to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into ads just to put out there. I wouldn't recommend any. Hey man, I really want to learn some tricks or tips getting that spacey vocal like Lil Peep. Not an exact rip, but what plugins or techniques can be used to achieve that effect? I don't listen to Lil Peep. I did read this question earlier and I was trying to find out what you meant by spacey, because the songs that I heard, I only heard one that sounded spacey to me. The other one sounded kind of normal. What he does is he just adds a reverb. If you think about space, you think about a few different things. You either think about robots, you think about really wide open echoey spaces, or just trippy sounds as far as like echoes and things like that, like Jimi Hendrix type stuff. So that would be a reverb, which gives you the open space and like sounds like, you know, sound is going on forever. You get a delay, which is the echo that repeats itself, and you get auto-tune, which gives you that robotic feel. That would be Waves Tune for the auto-tune. You can use a built-in reverb in GarageBand or whatever program you're using to get the spacey, echoey, or wide open feel, and the delays built in as well. But there's also plugins that have that feature. CLA Vocals is one of them, so you can play around with that. They have presets that you can select to kind of get that spacey vibe. Think I answered your question? I'm not sure. Best recommendations for a cheap home studio. I have a video on that. I'll link that below. No question, just an appreciation message. Your soul is bigger than music. Thank you very much. And I can feel it in every video. Making music that's gonna survive for eons. That is huge to me. That's all I want to do, aside from inspire people and keep people motivated. I want to make stuff that survives the test of time, and I feel like I'm doing that, and it's relatable and it connects, and so I really appreciate that. When I started singing, how I found my own tone of voice. Finding your own tone of voice, it comes with time. It comes with a lot of practice, a lot of patience, and a lot of experimentation. I recommend everybody find whoever you vibe with the best, right? Whatever artist. And what you do is you mimic their style. You basically copy them. When I first got started, my entire first album, I was trying to copy Michael Jackson. All my songs sound like this. So I sounded like Michael Jackson. But that's part of you becoming who you are. That's part of every artist, because they grow up on the music that they grow up on. So naturally they have these different mannerisms that they copy. But then in time, you grow to like your own things, or you find different sounds that work for you by yourself, or you hear other artists and you kind of fuse that with the other artists you've been copying all this time, and then you get another inspiration. My biggest vocal inspirations were Michael Jackson first, B. Slade, at the time known as a different brand, John Legend, and then Ryan Leslie, kind of on the tail end of that. These are the 4 vocal people that I really paid attention to, and I think all of them, I have some kind of a influence in my vocal when I'm singing. I notice I do things that each and every one of them do, depending on the song. So I just mesh these different styles, mix it all up into one, throw in my own flavor, and that's how I became who I am. McKenna says, hey, I just wanted to say, love what you do, and my question for you is, how do you sample music and create something different? That's a video in and of itself. I can't really explain how to sample music, so I'll make a video on that. What is the difference between MP3, wave, and track out stem beats? Does it really matter for the quality? Yes, it does. MP3 is going to be the lowest quality. Wave is going to be the higher quality. Now, the average listener can't tell the difference, but you can tell if you know what to listen for. As far as track out stem beats, that's just a bunch of waves, so that's not really a difference between a track out and a wave file. A track out beat is just a bunch of wave files that are of whatever beat you bought. That's going to be if you want to change certain instruments about a song. Like, let's say you bought a song that has a flute in it. If you bought the MP3 or the WAV file, you can't take the flute out because it's already in the WAV file. It's in the audio file itself. If you get the track out stems of the beat, you can just have the whole entire beat playing and then just mute the flute. So it's because it's literally all the WAV files that make up that beat. That's the only difference. Wasabi says, how did you get started in music? And what was the learning curve for you? Did you struggle for a while, or was it natural? Do you still struggle occasionally? No, I don't really struggle. I do have times where like things get a little bit rough, but I wouldn't call it struggling. I just call it something that's a little bit harder, that takes a little bit more time. How I got started, I have a video entirely on this. I'll link that below as well. But I got started in church. I was the church musician. I became the church musician at 7. I taught myself how to play the piano, starting with Mary Had a Little Lamb. Then I learned how to play the Goofy movie Powerline song. I got myself in the shine. I learned how to play that by myself. From there, I just taught myself. I have very good ears, so whatever I listen to, I can play. No matter how long it takes, I can figure out how to play it. I was just born with this gift. It's literally in my DNA. When I did my DNA test, it showed that I have I can recognize musical pitch better than most normal people. How I got started, how I got better, it just came naturally to me. That's why it's hard for me to teach certain things, because I tell people and they're like, okay, but how do you explain it? I'm like, well, I don't know how to explain it, because it just comes to me. That's that. HK says, how do you make money to travel and buy music equipment? Is it from YouTube or another source of income? I understand if you don't want to talk about it. Actually, I have talked about it before. The majority of my money comes from YouTube right now, from ads, which is incredible, because most people, that's their lowest income marker. It took me 7 years to get to this point. That's something I will say. It took me 7 years to make a livable income off of YouTube. So I wasn't always doing this well. This actually just started last year, when I was actually able to quit all my jobs, quit driving, quit delivering, and do what I do. Ads, it comes from sponsorships, affiliate links with plugin companies, Amazon when I link like equipment, and then also when I do consultations, which doesn't really happen often because most people don't want to pay the price. Before I had the YouTube income, before I had sponsorships, before I had all these things, I was doing delivery driving. I was driving for DoorDash, for Grubhub. I was delivering food for as long as I possibly could, saving my money. I live with my parents. I do have to pay rent, but it's obviously not going to be $2,300 or something like that. It's going to be, cheap. I don't go shopping. I don't buy anything ever except for music equipment or food. I never spend money. I save like 80 to 90% of my income every single check that I get. And then before that, I was working 2 and 3 jobs. I was working at my church as the musician. I was working at an office building, scanning documents for 8 hours, 9 hours a day, standing at a copy machine. Target as an overnight stalker, where I would pack the shelves for 12 hours a night, driving food to people. Old Navy, folding pants and jeans for 8 hours a day. I just did whatever I needed to do to make the money that I needed to make. I don't care if I had to struggle a little bit. If it was something I didn't want to do, I knew that it would be temporary if I did it long enough to where I saved enough money and built enough of an audience to get to the point to where I don't have to worry about doing this stuff ever again. After all that, I became a truck driver. I drove trucks for 1.5 years. The 18-wheeler semi trucks, I do have a license for it. I can drive a Freightliner and big old trucks, but I quit that after 1.5 years because I started my own online business. I just do what I have to do. I look for opportunities everywhere. I shoot music videos now, and I just save all my money. That's literally all it is. Can you make a tutorial using Ableton Live Lite or Pro Tools first? If I can get my hands on it, I think I can. I would have to learn it myself because I don't really know how to use either of those anymore. It's been a very long time. You finally showed your hair. Yes, I did, and I'm not gonna show it today. That was when my hair actually looked decent, so of course I showed it. I show my hair here when I have a haircut, but we're in a quarantine right now. I can't go to the barber, so like I'm not gonna show my hair. What's your recommended DAW? What's your recommended music distributor? Here's the thing, I use 2 different DAWs. I use one for making the music. I use one for recording the vocals. So I use Machine only Machine to make all of my beats. I make all of my beats specifically in Machine. I use GarageBand to record all my vocals. So those are the 2 that I recommend. But I mean, obviously, if you're somebody who's more professional, I would recommend Logic instead of GarageBand to record your vocals. I'm gonna continue this probably on Thursday because I still have half of this stuff to get to. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions based on anything I said in this video. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. And as always, stay legendary.